this is just a short one identifying to think about the textures and fabrics, because the technology is creating images or moving images in the eyes. So, it's like a think to image coded into the places that we've already identified, but I'll just identify them one more time. It's the area here as if it's like a lens. And then, whether it's in the actual eyelid, it's these black mirror spots, which seem to be like small screens. And they're also in the corners in the eye area here and here, and possibly in this area too as well, over the lenses. So the images in the eyes is that it's coding textures and fabrics. And so when the textures and fabrics are coded, there's changes to the sensations or the the understanding of what the textures are. So before, to think about velvet and corduroy, that actually feels nice when they produce it into, when the images are produced into the technology, whereas other ones don't feel so nice. The textures is symbols on the shirt produce the images to pop up, such as brand names, popular brand names. And then it's also to consider that they've coded out, the software is coding our memories, so it's actually the textures of the memories as well. And one other thing is that there's a possibly that it's coding to the back of the eyeball here. So just one other thing to consider. So some of the textures that are really obvious are the changes between when it codes, when the software program codes rain, as to when it codes wind or snow. There's a possibility that the software is not only coding the image into the eyeball, but it's also coding the nerves around here to feel snow or to feel cold, as if the person is experiencing what the image is showing. An obvious one is also a running river, because the picture of the running water is created. It's sort of the texture of white water. It's such as white water rafting, or the rapidity of the rivers. Sorry, the rapids in the rivers. It gets programmed into this space. It's really obvious to see the white water. Sorry, that's supposed to be one. So it's also when images of wine glasses are produced, the actual glass itself is very difficult to code. And it changes then to think about trees, because obviously the glass, it goes from this clear substance to then coding the texture of the tree. The other one is that there's actually changes created between thinking about human, such as the mother's skin or your father's skin, the sister's skin, and the brother's skin. And then the texture also changes in the eyeball to animal skin and as well as bearded skin. My understanding is, as I said, is that because the technology is both coding the image of it while also coding the nerve feeling to create the virtual reality experience of having one's own face up against a bearded skin imagined. The other ones to consider is that is a popular texture and fabric use for the software in the eyes is that the software likes marble, a black stone or a grey stone. I'll just say So that because the textures, that are being coded and the nerve sensations, it's recreating the feeling. So it's actually easier to for the software, or feels better to code in these stones, as well as in modern, simple, or plain, because it's one thing to consider is that if it's these tiny dots, like a computer screen or a mobile phone, those dots are hot, and they are the ones that are actually producing the image. So the more complex the image or the textures, the more difficult, or the more intensity that's coming from the images. So it's also it feels better in the black mirror spot and on the nerves to in with linen, or in colors of tans and neutral. It's also in corduroy, velvet, puffer jackets create sensations, as well as the software itself prefers two-piece outfits because it's easier to code the same texture and the same color for the outfits, as well as in monotone colors. But otherwise, if it doesn't, if there isn't monotone colors, it appears to be in patterns that are floral, so that the entire outfit is in a floral piece.